Hey, you. You want a bite? Today on the Heavens Metal Podcast, we're going to talk about sex. So, some of you may know that I'm in a band called Lust Control. It's kind of a punk rock band with a little bit of metal influence, but wouldn't call it heavy metal. We don't wear leather, we wear ski masks. Anyway, so Lust Control came into existence 30 years ago this year, 1988. Me and my friends Paul, Maury, and Philip decided to join a band, record an album, put it out there in the Christian music underground and see what happened. It kind of made a splash, got some attention. The album was called This Is a Condemnation. Some of the song titles were Mad at the Girls, You Make Me Puke, The Big M, which was about masturbation. So, as we began to write songs and the band grew, it became apparent that the distinct style of Lust Control lyrically was going to address sexuality or sexual sin from a biblical worldview. So, thus began Lust Control. We played some live shows. Our first show was in front of 1,000 people. Kind of went downhill from there because we never played for an audience that big again. I was at the Cornerstone Music Festival in 1989. But one of the things that I like to do in concert, because of our specialty of lyrical direction, was to stop and talk during our shows, whether it's in a bar or a church, youth group room, or a festival. It's pretty much the same. Always kind of made a declaration. And one of the things I like to do, just as a person, is not just repeat what I read in the Bible, but answer questions. Part of me as a communicator, if I can call myself a communicator, we're all communicators, we got a mouth, is to understand my audience. And I try to empathize with my audience and put my place in my audience's shoes. And I know that I like to have things explained. I don't just want to be told why something happens or why something was said, but I'd like to have it broken down. So I used to want to break down the biblical guidelines or rules about sex. You know, was God a killjoy when he says to save sex for marriage? When he throws out words in his text like fornication, which I think it'd be great to have a definition from Webster's, but it's sex outside of marriage is a common everyday man's definition of fornication. So why would God throw that out there? So here's my take on why. Because sex is a beautiful thing. He created it. It's very good. It was a gift that he gave to man and woman, Adam and Eve, and it sure is a bonding gift that bonds them together. And I think what happens, part of the magic of sexual union, is there's a bonding that takes place. The two become one, it says. And I think that happens physically, emotionally, and spiritually. I can't describe how and what the depth is of the spiritual oneness that happens. Although the book of Job is an interesting story because the devil was in front of God and he said, Job only worships you and obeys you because you protect him and give him everything, all these blessings. And God says, okay, try my servant Job. Do anything you want to him, just don't take his life. And so in one day, the devil took Job's crops, his property, and his children. He didn't take his wife. Now, I believe the reason why the devil did not take Job's wife is because he did not have permission to. He could do anything he wanted to, but not take Job's life. But Job and his wife were one. So she was off limits to the devil. That's my belief. So anyway, there's a union that takes place, a bonding of physical bodies, emotions, and spirits. And so, if sexual union is happening and it's not a lifelong monogamous relationship, which is a description of marriage, then there's a breakup. There's an end to that, and there's a tearing away inside, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. There's just a tearing away, there's a shredding, there's a ripping inside, and God wants to help prevent that for you, because that's incredibly painful. And God's rules, his law, has been likened to guardrails on a road, like over a bridge or over a ditch. The guardrails will keep your car from going into the ditch. And so his rules will keep you from going into the ditch and facing consequences and pain that you don't have to. And so that is why, in my opinion, why God lays down the law on sex, reserved for marriage, man and woman forever united as one flesh. Then there's never breakup. There's not a tearing away inside. And so there you go. There's my sex spiel, little sermon I used to preach every night when Lust Control played a show, sometimes during the day, but most of the night time in the nighttime. So join the discussion.